So we've already been skirting the edges of the box model and talking about it just in passing, but now we're going to talk about the box model specifically. And the box model, you should take two things away from this video. One thing is that everything on the web is a box, and the other thing is that boxes are made up of content, and then there's padding, and then there's border, and then there's margin. So those are the two things you should take away from this video. And you can see that right here in these images. So here's just a visual representation. Everything on the web is a box. Just a picture of a bunch of boxes. And then here is another image which represents the box model, where we have content in the middle, and then we have padding, and then we have border, and then we have margin. And so we saw that in action with this page right here. And I'm going to grab the CSS from there and put it right back here because I was fooling around with it just a minute ago and changed it. But this is the way it was before and in the last video when we just got done with it. So refresh this page. There we go. And to inspect one of these elements, I'm going to just right click and choose inspect. We can see that here is the content, here is the padding, there's the border, and there's the margin. So this right here is the box model: content, padding, border, margin. So those are the two things you need to know about the box model. Everything on the internet is a box, and then each box is made up of content, padding, border, margin. Content, padding, border, margin. So you just gotta commit that to memory. Come back and look at this thing. Right click and choose inspect to come down and look at it, and then go in and say, okay, that's how that element works. But that's the box model. And the last thing to always remember is every box also has a display characteristic. And so some have block level display, some are inline display, that's their default, and that's the way most elements fall, one of those two. And you could change that display property. So when you hear somebody ask or talk about the box model on the internet, if somebody was to ask you, what's the box model? You could tell them, well, everything on the internet's a box. And that box is made up of content, padding, border, margin. That's what that box is made up of. And those boxes stack on top of each other if their default display characteristic, if they're block level display, if that's their default display characteristic, or they're inline right next to each other. So that's what you tell somebody if they ever asked you, what's the box model? I don't know if they will. So one of the problems that presents, or one of the problems with layout, is that as we change the size of padding or border or margin, it's going to start pushing elements off the page and onto the next line. So off that line onto the next line. It's going to throw our layout off. And to prevent that, to help mitigate that so that we could change our design a little bit, change the border, change the padding, and not kick elements to the next row, we have something called the box sizing property. So as we size a box, we want to keep the actual physical size of the box set to whatever we set it. I'm going to show you how to use the box sizing property in the next video.